Grüß, willkommen in einem Fragens video. Welcome to another exciting video, in this case episode 27 of my organisational series. In this video I'll cover the strengths and structure of the formations of a number of NATO members during the 1980s. After creating a number of videos on various World War II armoured divisions and the formations of the PLA and ROCA, I realised that the format I used seemed to be moderately popular. I don't mean general lay person popular, as few if any lay people would have any interest or understanding of battalion structures of a division or a brigade. I mean people who have an interest in the subject but not enough to drill down into the company structure. As a result, I decided to create a video on NATO and Warpact formations from the 1980s, specifically 1986, starting with this video which covers NATO. There are some people who feel that if World War III began, it was likely to occur sometime between 1986 and 1988 and would involve the last gasp attempt by the Soviet Union to avert economic collapse by unifying the people in a war and extracting wealth from Western Europe. This was based on an article written in the Soviet journal Red Star back in the mid-1980s. The writer of this article saw the dangers of the Airland 2000 asymmetrical doctrine or warfare doctrine to the Soviet linear doctrine and suggested if an attack was not carried out before the NATO doctrine was fully adopted, the Soviets could never attack. This represented opinion by the hawks in the Soviet military. I personally feel that this was a very unlikely scenario, as the Soviet Union at this period was very much like an old man. Even if it wanted to conduct this strategy, it would prefer a nap and a warm cup of cocoa rather than doing anything, and that's exactly what the leadership of the Soviet Union decided to do. Let's now go on with the video. I'll be listing the main division brigade formations of some of the NATO countries from this period down to battalion level. Using my trusty micro-armour rules point system, I'll attempt to arrive at a strength for each formation. As with my other videos, I'll be using the point system from the old 1986 micro-armour rules Corps Commander. In future videos, I'll provide a comparison of the strengths of the opposing formations. This shows an example of the point system I'm using, in this case a Type 86 US Armoured Division, which was deployed in Europe in 1989. The regiment or equivalent level of command is now listed. The number of each regiment is included as its combat strength in a points form. The final formation level is the battalion or equivalent. The number of each battalion is included, in this case 2 tank battalions. Moving to the right, we come to a battalion's combat strength, in this case 2,201, followed by battalion code, and finally combat values, using a set of rules based on SPI Modern Wars battalion board game. This value will generally be ignored in this video as it's used for a set of figure gaming rules, but the other values will be used as they provide an idea of the battalion type and strength. In front of the battalion name is a mobility symbol, which could be motorised, horse, cycle, armoured, and so on. For some battalions, an idea of the weapons within is provided. In this case, it is a battalion which consists of 155mm howitzers. Let us first start with the US formations. Most of the US divisions were deployed in West Germany, as were the dumps for the Reforger divisions. 1986 was a transitional year for the US Armed Forces, as they were deploying new formation structures to support their Airland 2000 doctrines. This is the old formation structure for an armoured division, using the road structure, which was implemented in the 1960s and remained until the 1980s. Let's start with the divisional troops. The divisional support formations were generous, with a rather powerful reconnaissance battalion capable of conducting offensive reconnaissance, which would allow the formation to take advantage of any immediate weakness. The engineer and air defence battalion was acceptable, although the US anti-aircraft weapon systems were generally considered inferior to nations such as West Germany. As the US would expect to achieve air supremacy, or at least not to concede control of the air, this is understandable. The artillery brigade consists of 3 medium howitzer battalions equipped with the excellent M109 self-propelled howitzer. Supporting this was a battalion of self-propelled 203mm howitzers, which did give the artillery a powerful punch at a divisional level. Now we come to the meat of the division, the 3 armoured brigades. There is a lot of history concerning the US armoured regiments and now brigades, which I'm not going to cover in this video, but suffice to say the brigades were a mixed formation containing both armoured battalions and mechanised battalions. A significant amount of flexibility was possible within these formations and between the brigades, giving the US divisional commander a significant amount of flexibility. This was a powerful division, but as we'll see, it's not considered or was not considered as powerful enough for Airland 2000. As well as the road armoured divisions, the US also deployed road mechanised divisions. These were very similar to the armoured division, but contained more mechanised infantry battalions and less armoured battalions. Back in the US also had National Guard mechanised divisions, which would have been shipped over if the war continued for any significant period of time. This was similar to the road armoured divisions, but had a greater proportion of mechanised infantry. When the M1 and M2s, that's M1 main battle tank and M2 MICV, was issued, the plan was for it to be deployed in the new restructured armoured divisions. These were monster divisions with an astounding punch. This shows the 3rd Armoured Division. The divisional level formations had dropped in terms of numbers and strength, with only an engineer battalion present. The intention was for the division to operate as independent brigades, as part of a non-linear Airland 2000 concept. The artillery brigade had not changed to any great extent, although rocket artillery, or MLRSs, were being deployed in the heavy artillery battalion. This did beef up the heavy artillery battalion significantly, and the MLRSs would have proved very useful in any counter-attacks. This division contained a combat aviation brigade, and I'm uncertain how common this would have been for the other divisions adopting this structure. In this case, the division contained a powerful attack helicopter battalion, supported by the combat support battalion. This was a key element of Airland 2000, which had as its objective breaking up the linear structure of any warpack attacking forces. The problem with a linear structure and strategy was any appearance of enemies in the rear would disrupt a significant portion of the front line. This formation contained the reconnaissance battalion, which was beefed up, as well as an air defence battalion, which was beginning to receive better anti-aircraft weapon systems. Now we come to the tank brigades. Each brigade was made up of both tank and mechanised infantry battalions. Each battalion was now equipped with the M1 main battle tank and the M2 ICV, both of which were leading-edge weapons platforms. While the M1 at this point was still equipped with the 105mm gun, which was inferior to the West German 120mm gun, the armour protection was probably the best of any MTB at this point in time. This would have had a significant impact to warpack anti-tank weapons, which would allow the US division to conduct counterattacks even when facing prepared warpack positions. The M2 ICV now allowed the US infantry to engage in battle in their vehicles, increasing the speed and effectiveness of these formations in attack. In defence, the M2 would have provided an effective tank destroyer. This was a big division which really packed a lot of punch. As history was to prove, it was probably too large for a post-Cold War world, but if the Cold War went hot, it would have been the division which would have caused the Soviets probably the most concern. Let's now look at the UK. The UK deployed a corps in the north of West Germany and would also send additional forces deployed in the UK currently to the continent in case of war. The United Kingdom's divisions in West Germany were reasonably powerful and capable formations. The division support formations consisted of an engineer regiment, which was battalion-sized, and an air corps regiment, which consisted of attack helicopters. The artillery brigade consisted of 2 large regiments consisting of self-propelled 105mm howitzers. This was supported by a single medium artillery regiment of self-propelled 155mm howitzers. In the standard armoured division, the armoured brigades were equipped with the Chieftain main battle tank and FV438 APC. Both good but older weapons platforms. Each brigade consisted of 2 armoured regiments and 1 mechanised infantry battalion. While not as powerful as the US Armoured Brigade, equipped with the M1 main battle tank, it was similar in strength to a road brigade. As with the US, the UK was introducing new equipment in the 1980s, specifically the Challenger main battle tank and the MCV-80 ICV. The first division to receive this equipment was the 4th Armoured. The support and artillery elements were unchanged for the most part. The real change was in the armoured brigades, which were now significantly more powerful than the older brigades. It was not as powerful as the US M1 main battle tank equipped brigade, but it nonetheless packed a significant punch. The last division to cover was the infantry division, which would have been sent to West Germany in the event of war. The divisional troops consisted of an engineer and air defence regiment. The regular infantry brigade was a bit of a surprise as it represented a surprisingly powerful formation consisting of a medium artillery regiment with towed medium howitzers, 3 mechanised infantry battalions in armoured personnel carriers, a territorial motorised infantry battalion in trucks, and a reconnaissance regiment. This was a very powerful formation, which was very close to being a combined arms mech formation if the reconnaissance regiment acted as the armoured element. In addition, there were 2 territorial brigades consisting of artillery, 2 motorised infantry, and a light reconnaissance regiment. Now we come to West Germany, which contained the largest ground forces in NATO at the time. The Germans deployed 2 division type, the Panzergrenadier and Panzer divisions. This was the Panzer divisional structure. The divisional support formations consisted of Reconnaissance Battalion, Engineer Battalion, Jager Battalion, and Air Defence Battalion. The Reconnaissance Battalion was equipped with main battle tanks and armoured cars, and was a powerful armoured formation in its own right. The Jagers were motorised infantry, which would focus on rear security. The Air Defence Battalion was equipped with the excellent Gepard SPAAG. The artillery regiment consisted of a mixed medium and heavy self-propelled howitzer battalion, which was reasonably large. In addition, the regiment contained a rocket artillery battalion equipped with 122mm LARs. The Panzergrenadier Brigade consisted of 2 mechanised infantry battalion equipped with the excellent Marder ICVs and a Panzer battalion equipped with the Leopard MBT. The combined battalion was a mix of tank and infantry company and was, as its name implied, a combined battalion. This concept was tried back in the 1960s when the US created their Potomac structure, and today it's very common in the Chinese and Russian armies, but was unusual nonetheless. The brigade also contained a self-propelled medium artillery battalion equipped with M109s. The 2 Panzer brigades were similar, except they contained 2 Panzer battalions and only 1 Panzergrenadier battalion. By this point, most of the Panzer battalions were equipped with the Leopard 2s, which were very similar to the US M1 main battle tanks, except it had a 120mm smoothbore gun and was slightly less armoured in terms of protection. It was a leading-edge main battle tank, probably only second to the M1 main battle tank, or even equivalent at this point in time. The Panzergrenadier divisions were similar to the Panzer division, except it contained 2 Panzergrenadier brigades and 1 Panzer brigade. The West German army did possess a single airborne brigade, which was manned by highly skilled troops. This was not a strong formation, but was ideal for missions requiring a high degree of mobility and skill. The Germans also created a number of reserve formations, or Heimatschutz commando brigades. These consisted of motorised infantry, in the most part in trucks, and a Panzer battalion made up of older tanks. It was not a powerful formation, but would prove very useful in defending built-up areas, of which there were many. These brigades were divided up into 3 types. This was a 50s type. The 60s Heimatschutz commando brigades were slightly weaker, but still useful for defence. The 80s Heimatschutz commando brigades were weakest and lacked armour, APCs, and were small, basically a light motorised infantry brigade. All these brigades during war would reform into some kind of light infantry divisions. Let's now look at Belgium. The Belgium division consisted of only 2 brigades, so was small compared with the US, German or even British division. Nonetheless, it was still an effective formation. The mechanised brigade consisted of 2 mechanised infantry and 1 armoured battalion. Supporting this was an artillery battalion and an anti-tank battalion. The infantry used a mix of US and UK equipment, while in the armoured battalion the main battle tank was the Leopard 1. The artillery used was the 155mm 109, and the anti-tank battalion used a mix of German Kanon- und Jagdpanzer tank destroyer gun and tow-armed M113 APCs. The armoured brigade contained 2 armoured battalions, but was otherwise similar to the mechanised brigade. Canada deployed a single brigade in West Germany as part of their NATO commitments. Canada had a small but well-equipped and highly trained brigade in Europe. The brigade contained an engineer and artillery battalion, with the artillery using the all-too-common M109 155mm self-propelled howitzer. This brigade also contained a helicopter battalion consisting of CH-136 Kiaks and provided reconnaissance with some offensive capability as well. The core of the brigade was its 2 mechanised infantry battalions and armoured battalion. The infantry used the M113 APC and the army used the Leopard 1. Denmark, like West Germany, was a likely target in any war-pact invasion, although in this case using airborne and amphibious forces. The Jutland Division was the main regular army division of the Danish army. On paper, the brigade was reasonable, although there was some reports of poor training and preparedness, so I'm uncertain how effective this formation would have been in the war. I would suspect they would quickly ramp up to a highly effective formation if given sufficient time. The divisional support formations consisted of an engineer and air defence battalion. Both used trucks to carry or tow. The artillery regiment contained a medium battalion of 155mm M109s and a truck-towed guns, and a heavy battalion or battery of 203mm towed howitzers. The main element of the division was its 3 mechanised brigades. This contained a battalion of 155mm M109 self-propelled howitzers, and the armoured battalion was equipped with Leopards 1s, main battle tanks, a battalion of mechanised infantry mounted in M113 APCs, and a battalion of infantry and trucks. The strength of the brigade was respectful when compared with other brigades used in NATO. Denmark also possessed mobilised divisions, which were supposed to mobilise quickly when an invasion occurred. These were similar to the regular divisions, although it did use some older equipment in some areas. Once fully mobilised, it would have provided a formation which was similar in strength to its regular equivalent. We'll now look at the Netherlands, which of the minor nations possess some of the most advanced and modern main battle tanks. The Dutch mechanised division's support formations consisted of a reconnaissance battalion. The armoured brigade consisted of an artillery battalion, 2 armoured battalions and a mechanised battalion. The formation is a surprisingly powerful brigade. The armoured battalion was equipped with the Leopard 2s and the YPR 765 ICVs. The infantry mechanised battalion was equipped with YPR 765 ICVs, which makes them fairly powerful formations. The mechanised brigades have 3 infantry battalions in armoured personnel carriers and a tank battalion. In one brigade, the tanks used are Centurions, and in the others are Leopard 2s. While not as powerful as the armoured brigades, the mechanised infantry brigades have respectful defensive capability. Now we come to France. While not specifically a member of NATO, France does have formations in West Germany and have agreed to support NATO in the event of an invasion by warpact. The French divisions are in actuality very large brigades. Each armoured division consisted of a medium artillery, engineer, 2 tank, 2 mechanised infantry and a motorised infantry regiment. The regiments are battalion size. Packing almost twice the punch of most other nations' armoured brigades, the division represents a powerful force. I'm uncertain why the French went down this route in terms of organisation, and I'm uncertain how effective it will be. The motor rifle division is closer to a very large brigade than a division. It consists of 3 infantry regiments mounted in armoured personnel carriers, a light armoured regiment also in armoured personnel carriers, a medium artillery regiment and an engineer regiment. The regiments are battalion sized. As this video is getting long enough, I'll not include Norway, as this country will also be a front line in any possible invasion. I was originally going to provide a comparison between the various formations, but this video is long enough, and I will do that in my final series of comparison videos on the NATO and warpact formations. This concludes episode 27 of my organisational video series, in this case looking at the NATO military formations in the 1980s. Alle guten Dinge kommen zu einem Ende.